Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to everybody, and thanks for joining this webinar focusing on agile delivery in an uncertain market. My name is Julian Mansourian. I am a Senior Director of Professional Services, EMEA. I work for Oracle Financial Services Division. I'm involved in leading implementations of the analytical solutions in my geography in conjunction with a large distributed team of consultants. Before talking about the agile mindset, I'd like to point out some of the key characteristics of an agile organization of today. These include pioneering the use of emerging technologies such as cloud computing, RPA, machine learning, deep learning, and AI to optimize business and finance operations, coupled with the focus on building intelligent and agile-based management information platforms to provide real-time decision-making possibilities to stakeholders and downstream users. Finally, centralizing capabilities and expertise to achieve economies of scale, such as building shared service centers or centers of excellence. There are other areas of focus in agile finance. We currently see a trend in streamlining of the risk, regulatory, and compliance processes that was already triggered by the global financial crisis of 2007 and introduction of MiFID, Basel II, Dodd-Frank, FATCA, and AML regulations later on. And the second layer is the optimization of data processing and data unification and analysis to enable real-time decision making. Because we all know that data is a critical aspect of the agile finance because it is the foundation for a sustained finance organization. We have gone through many crises since 1973. I wanted to share this diagram with you to holistically show how these downturns have impacted the way organization delivered changes and transformation across the board. So we are all going through this COVID-19 pandemic right now, and I know this is impacting massively the market and many businesses worldwide. But as we went through these major downturns, corporations changed the way they managed transformations. In 1970, Waterfall methodology was broadly used to develop applications, product, but also even manage long-term projects and transformations across many organizations. And between 1970 and 1991, the cone of uncertainty found its place in project management, and leaders understood that project unknowns always decrease over time. That was the start of agile thinking. In 1991, the rapid application development approach was introduced by the British information technology consultant James Martin. And then Jim Highsmith and Sam Bayer leveraged the RAD approach and produced a dynamic development cycle known today as ASD, Adaptive Software Development. And so following the introduction of ASD, many other Agile families came up, and all based on the Agile Manifesto's Common Ground, published in February 2001 by 17 key Agile experts. Today, these families are broadly used by large organizations worldwide, and based on the statistics, Scrum is the framework used by 52% of the Agile population. And we can see here that with these changes that took place over the last decade, we certainly have a major shift in how organizations deliver transformation worldwide. As we all know, the business attitude changes during downturns. Generally speaking, key decision makers, the members of board, leaders, portfolio managers, they will focus on three major areas to do arbitrage in terms of what projects are critical and what projects should be put on hold. So what happens in cost saving, or leaders, they will focus on labor cost. They want to make sure that is really effectively very low, and as well as the variable expenses are fully under control. And the second area is the shifting priorities. In crisis times, organizations are normally launching mandatory projects only, in regulatory and compliance space. And in parallel, they will require faster return on investment and quick wins for non-mandatory projects. So that is another layer that will have influence on the attitude of business leaders. And the third one is the planning. Organizations become less predictive and more adaptive and very much short-term centric. So they all want to holistically mitigate risks and therefore become risk averse. On top of these three areas of focus, they will constantly monitor pestle factors that define the extent of which governments may influence the economy of certain industries. So actually, COVID-19 is showing how governments worldwide can take radical decisions impacting cross-border exchanges, for instance. PESTEL and the major areas of focus impact the enterprise environmental factors as well. For instance, COVID-19 has radically changed the communication channels, the working patterns, human resources functions, recruitment, and as well as many other dimensions of the businesses worldwide. So what we see as well is that businesses have now moved away from rigidity to agile and agility, actually. So what we see is that because of this uncertainty, we have a pressure on the P&L of the organizations, and this is why business benefits expected from projects have to be more tangible, and they have to bring revenue streams or cost savings. And many companies today have accelerated the automation, digital transformation, SaaS, PaaS, IS, generally cloud computing projects, but as well as a business transformation to improve cost cost of the P&L, but as well as making sure that you reduce the TCO. So this is very much holistic across the board, and the many organizations right now are very much into automation and improvement of the cost of their organizations. So most of you know the Agile framework, and particularly its 7 guiding principles that you see here on the right-hand side, overarching service delivery. The one that is interesting for us and specifically goes well with the Agile mindset is progress iteratively with feedback. My objective of sharing this one with you is to emphasize on the fact that it is not always a great move to stop everything until we know everything upfront. It is never possible. So focusing on quick wins and actually bring more can actually bring more value than focusing on long-term projects with a final outcome. In fact, putting all projects on hold does not make sense, as we may lose the know-how and momentum to generate value. So leaders of today organizations, they should be avoiding the analysis paralysis behavior. In that slide, I just wanted to show very quickly what are the differences between Waterfall and Agile. So in Waterfall, we have an iron triangle where the scope is completely fixed, and there are some characteristics like we get the stakeholders involved on an ad hoc basis. The work is divided into phases and milestones. It's very much process driven. Changes are not welcome beyond the requirement phase. Working software is produced as predefined stages, but not on a regular basis. Improvement outside the scope require contractor discussions. And actually, this is not a very good methodology if business strategy is volatile and uncertain, which is the case today. Oppositely, in Agile, the a waterfall iron triangle becomes inverted, and the scope is completely open, and that makes the Agile become much more flexible for businesses. So it is integrating the customer and the stakeholders in each step of the developer process. The work is divided into teams. As individual responsibility is a self-organized team, and we don't talk about differences between team members. It is people-driven as opposed to process-driven, and changes to requirement can be incorporated at any time or point of the process, even late in development, innovation, and making sure you bring changes into the product regularly. So, and the working software is shown to the customer on a regular basis. We don't wait. We don't have big bangs in Agile. We have increments that are delivered on a weekly or monthly basis. And we focus on value, and I will come back to that in the next slide, and as well as continuous improvement, because we want to fail fast, learn, and do things better than before. So Scrum is the Agile framework for managing complex knowledge work. It is an iterative process focusing on delivering value in the shortest amount of time. It is coupled with the evidence-based management approach. I think that, I don't know if there are some people out there who have been working with the EBM before, but this is a framework that you can find in scrum.org. And it's very, very interesting because, if you combine Agile Scrum with evidence-based management framework, you will be able to get a holistic and productive framework to optimize business performance. So for those who haven't used the evidence-based management, you can really go and get it there and download it from scrum.org. But in a nutshell, it is a framework organizations can use to help them measure, manage and increase the value they derive from their projects and or product delivery. So that is really improving the outcomes, reducing risks, and optimizing investment. There are 4 components around evidence-based management framework. The first one is the current value you see here on top. This is the value that the developed product delivers to customer today. And you have time to market, the speed, reflecting the ability of an organization to quickly deliver capabilities, services or products. Then you have the ability to innovate. This is very much into R&D and engineering. This is reflecting the ability of an organization to deliver new capabilities that might better meet customer needs. And finally, you have the unrealized value that you monitor. This is the value that could be realized by meeting all potential needs of a customer. So most of the time, by adapting adaptive development method with continuous improvement, very much flexible, harnessing change, and making sure that the scope creep is welcome in Agile, by the way, and mix it with EBM framework, you would be able to continually measure and deliver value in projects worldwide. So this is a very interesting diagram because it's really showing how you can readjust your business strategy and generating value and remain flexible. So there are 4 steps to make sure that your business strategy is continuously readjusted. So I'm sure you have already applied this diagram in your past projects, possibly. But interestingly, here what we see is that everything is starting from step 1. You produce your business and IT strategies. The decision makers, they actually prepare the investment plans for a period of time. And then you have all the architecture work taking place where you produce the blueprints, you have the vision statement, and the product roadmap. So there are 3 main focuses that we constantly have to consider. So the first one is that we have to be very, very flexible in a way we establish the initial view of the product vision and expect changes that are coming on a regular basis. We cannot, nail down the entire product vision and product roadmap. This cannot be possible in Agile. We have to be very open to changes to the product roadmap at any time. Then the focus has to be on value generation, and this is based on prioritizations. You can use Moscow rating, must have, should have, could have, won't have, to actually work on the most critical features or projects, and as well as organization changes that you want to kick off. You would need to make sure that those selections are done correctly and by using the right methods. And flexibility is another aspect, is your approach, no matter what and how it's going to be look like this one, you have to make sure that it is readjusted as objectives and the scope are refined. So that's the first part of the iterative business strategy. And then the second step is release planning. Once you have your product roadmap coupled with product vision, you would be able to create a release strategy and as well as the product backlogs and develop the benefits management framework in line with the portfolio and investment plans. This is where we can come back to evidence-based management framework that I was talking about. And you can very much, in a iterative manner, measure the benefits generated in agile projects. And it comes then the step number 3, which is execution, really by wave, by release, and by chunk. And we, after each release, we want to be able to measure the benefits against our plans, and as well as readjusting any portfolio priorities, maybe the commission a project, and we must really be able to unplug if it's required. So it means that we better have to fail fast than fail later, because the cost failing later will be much higher than failing earlier in the process. So then the realignment is the final aspect of the process, where you would need to revise your business plan and release a strategy on a regular basis, and that goes through retrospectives or meetings with various key stakeholders to make sure that you also reorder your product roadmap and product backlog when required, that you focus on the right value for the organization as a whole. And this is what we say the strategic review and realignment. And this has to happen as well in a cycle. So you plan, you deliver, you resize. That's the iterative cycle that you would need to consider when moving to agile mindset. With this, I come to the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you. And if you have any questions and you would like to have more information about Agile mindset and how we at Oracle Financial Services deliver these projects and embrace, you can reach out to me to julian.mansourian at oracle.com. Thank you very much for your time.